Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Tanis Glenn, and I am a sales support specialist at Aspira Retirement Living. The team members I support are responsible for helping seniors make the important decision to enter the next stage of life, one we hope will start at Aspira Retirement Living. To take you through this presentation today, I'm pleased to introduce you to Emily Johnson. Emily is the founder and creative director of Stronger You Senior Fitness. She is on a mission to innovate and elevate senior fitness globally by empowering recreation, fitness, and wellness professionals and senior serving organizations to deliver high-quality senior fitness classes. Today, she has trained over 900 senior fitness instructors globally, including the resident engagement team at Aspira. Emily is an international presenter and trainer known for delivering dynamic and enriching sessions. Also joining us today is Emily Geddes, Regional Resident Engagement Partner for our Retirement Division at Aspira. She oversees resident programs and related services. Her passionate team is dedicated to creating a vibrant community where residents have choices and can stay active and engaged at all stages of life. Now, on to the fun part. During this session, Emily is going to talk to you about brain and body fitness, tackling the two-headed dragon of healthy aging. There are two big areas of concern as we age, a failing body and a failing brain. Research supports that being physically active provides the biggest return on investment for staying fit mentally and physically. Today, you're going to learn about the best types of exercise to do to keep your brain and your body strong. As we move through the presentation today, please feel free to pop any questions you have into the chat. We look forward to hearing your questions and comments. Now, over to you, Emily.
Thank you so much for that warm welcome, Tanis, and welcome to everyone joining us today. As Tanis said, my name is Emily, and I'm very excited to get to take you through this presentation today. And as she said, if you have any questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat. I'm happy to answer them on the spot as applicable, or we will have some time at the end for questions as well. Now, most of my time is actually spent educating the recreation professionals and the resident engagement teams like those at Aspira, but I love when I get the opportunity to talk to older adults or the individuals serving them directly. So very excited to be here with you today. And on that note, let's jump right into it. All right, so as Tanis said, we're going to talk about tackling that two-headed dragon of healthy aging. And whenever I talk to older adults or their caregivers, the number one thing they tell me they're worried about is one of two things. It's either they're afraid of falling or a failing body, or they're afraid of getting dementia or Alzheimer's and a failing mind. And that can be a pretty scary thing to have to think about as you enter what should be your golden years. And I'm really excited to tell you that being physically active is the best way to stave off or even reverse chronic conditions as we age. And really, a lot of times we think that chronic conditions, things like diabetes and arthritis and heart disease and so many others, as well as Alzheimer's and dementias, are normal parts of aging. You say, yep, this is just getting old. I hear it all the time. But what I want you to know is these are in fact not normal parts of aging. And I'm going to prove it to you with some research in just a moment here. But what I want you to wrap your head around today is that aging does not equal chronic disease. What does equal chronic disease is inactivity. And let's start with just a really simple anecdotal example that you could probably confer with. And if we look at activity along the lifespan. So let's think back, or maybe think about your grandkids today. As children, it is our job to play, to run around, to be active. I have a little guy and he just runs back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. He's newly walking and he is using those little legs. So we know when we are young, we are active, so physically active. And then as we get up into those teen and 20s, you know, maybe we aren't much playing as much, but we're maybe into organized sports, or we're picking up a new gym membership, or other types of things that are keeping us physically active. And then as we get into our later years, and I would say this really actually starts more in mid-adulthood to late adulthood, we start to drop off and become more sedentary. And I can totally attest to this because having a little one myself, after I do a whole day of work and get dinner ready and get him ready and bathed, the last thing I want to do is now get my workout into the day. Usually if I want to have a seat on the couch and watch some TV. So, as we age, naturally, just due to what's going on in life, we do tend to slow down. And that final picture you see there is of a very healthy, active looking older adult. But this is not typically the picture most of us picture in our minds when we hear the word older adult or senior. Probably a more common photo that would pop into our mind is someone sitting at a chair. Maybe they might have a bit of a belly, they're not quite active. And that's sort of the picture a lot of us have in our mind of being a senior. But the good news is that it doesn't have to be that way. And even if you did a little bit of self-reflection just now and you're like, man, yes, I am that person sitting in the chair and not the individual sitting out in the park doing some Tai Chi or whatever that man is doing, we can turn it around. And today that's what we're going to talk about is some practical tips and tricks and things that you can adopt today that will help you to reap those brain and body benefits going forward. So that was some anecdotal evidence, but let's talk about actual evidence of how exercise changes the brain and benefits the brain. This is one of my absolute favorite research studies. It's by Erickson and his group. It is a study from 2011, so it's starting to get dated, but I still love it. And the title of this study is Exercise Training Increases Size of Hippocampus and Improves Memory. Okay, a lot of big words there. We are going to break them down so we can really understand what this whole study is about. So you might have heard that word before, hippocampus. So the hippocampus or hippocampi, there's actually two of them in the brain, are kind of these tubular things that run on either side. And they are in charge of memory, spatial navigation, and learning. That's what their main role is. And what we generally see is that as people age, we see a 1 to 2% decrease in the loss of volume of these brain structures. So if we look at someone, we do MRIs over time, we see that the size gets a little bit smaller, 1 to 2% naturally over time, okay? I'm going to come back to that because I said naturally over time. So don't forget I said that, and I'm going to tell you why it's not so natural. And so what they did in this study is they had two groups. Classic study, you usually have a group and you have a control. This one's not quite a control, but it does show us two perspectives. And the first group was our walking group, okay? And this is why I love this study so much, because all of you can replicate this study for yourself. So the walking group started with walking for 10 minutes per day, just 10 minutes per day. And what they did is each week they increased it by 5 minutes until they were walking 40 minutes. Sorry, not per day, 3 times a week. Okay, so 10 minutes 3 times a week. They increased it by 5 minutes every week until they were walking for 40 minutes 3 times a week. Okay, can we all agree that sounds pretty doable? If you walked for 10 minutes today, walked for 10 minutes again on Sunday, did it again on Tuesday, you're done for the week, and next week try 15, right? So they did that, and once they got to 40 minutes, they stopped there and they kept walking 40 minutes 3 times a week for the rest of the year. Okay, it was a 1-year study. Now the other group, you can see on the other half of the screen there, this was what we called like a toning and stretching group. So this group got together, group fitness, and they did a warm up, they did some strengthening and toning exercises, some balance exercises, they did a stretch at the end, and they were done. So they did that 3 times a week for a year. And what they saw with these two people's brains at the end of the year was that the stretching and toning group had that regular 1 to 2% decrease that we normally see with aging, okay? And the walking group had a 1 to 2% increase in volume. So they actually regained brain mass, didn't have that natural age-related loss. And that's just incredible. And so I'm using these air quotes for normal because there is this idea that decline, that loss of brain mass is normal. And what this study is showing us is that really it's activity activity-related decline. So although the one group was moving, they were definitely working out 3 times a week, which is great. They probably saw other benefits, maybe falls prevention and things like that. But for the brain benefit, the strengthening and toning and stretching didn't give them any benefit. The cardiovascular exercise is what gave them the benefit. So if you're not a total nerd like me and you're like, well, Emily, that's all well and good, but what can I really learn from that study? That study tells us that cardiovascular exercise is what we need to be taking part in order to help our brain be as healthy as possible. And this is what we see. When you take part in cardiovascular exercise, we see changes to your brain structure. Your brain actually changes for the better, which is amazing. We see new connections in the brain being stimulated. We see different hormones being released. One of those hormones is the brain-derived neurotrophic factors, okay, BNDN. And so these hormones help to create connections between our brains and help things move a little bit faster, which is great. Also delivering oxygen and nutrients. We don't really think about this too often, but when our heart beats faster and our lungs breathe faster, things are moving through our body faster. And what is that blood carrying? It's carrying oxygen and nutrients. And so when we exercise, our muscles and our brain are getting lots and lots of nutrients and oxygen at a quicker rate than if we're just sitting on the couch, which is really great. Also, reduce carotid artery stiffness. A lot of times we think about the stiffness in the arteries of our heart, right? A lot of people they go to see the doctor to see, do I have any plaque buildup in my heart? We don't typically check though if we're having any plaque buildup in that carotid artery that runs from our neck and helps supply that blood and those nutrients and oxygen to our brain. And so what we see with, again, cardiovascular exercise is less plaque buildup there, which you can imagine means a lot more nutrients and oxygen getting to our brain versus if we had plaque buildup and it was kind of a smaller, kind of airway or a bloodway, I should say, to get to that brain. And then so many other indirect benefits. When you exercise, you sleep better at night. When you sleep better at night, aren't we all in a little bit better mood the next day and more likely to want to exercise the next day or, eat a little bit healthier? On that account, it also makes us hungrier. So it makes us want to eat, hopefully good, healthy, nutritious foods for us. So many other indirect health benefits that just ripple away from doing cardiovascular exercise. So that's the first thing for us to take away is cardiovascular exercise is the key to a healthy brain. The next thing, another study that I love, a little bit more of a recent study. This one's from 2021 and it's Robert and his team. And this study is about cognitive activity and onset age of incidence Alzheimer's disease dementia. Okay, again, they're not very friendly with these titles, are they? But what this study was all about was they looked at people over a long period of time, and they looked at what kinds of brain activities they would take part in. So things like reading a book, things like writing letters, things like playing chess, doing Sudokus, all these sort of brain boosting activities that we typically think of as brain exercise, right? And then they looked at people who maybe didn't use their brains too much. Maybe they would just watch TV or didn't really take part in too much intellectually stimulating activity. And what they saw is for some of this group, they developed Alzheimer's disease. Not everyone did, but some of the group did. And they looked at the group who did develop Alzheimer's disease, and they looked at what kinds of activities they did in their life and what age they got Alzheimer's disease. And what they noticed is that those who did the most brain stimulating activities typically didn't show signs of Alzheimer's disease until 5 years later, okay? So one of the reasons I love this story is my grandfather passed away from Alzheimer's disease. And so there is a history of Alzheimer's disease in my family. But now I know that by taking part in cardiovascular exercise, as well as really doing brain challenging activities, I can help give myself more life in my years. Okay, so pretty exciting that we have actual research that tells us exactly what we need to do to get more of those amazing longevity years. So let's talk now about how we go about getting all of these benefits that I just talked about. So really what we want to focus on is Canada's physical activity guidelines, okay? If you're not familiar with them, they're here on the screen. So the first goal is to reach 150 minutes of moderate to vigorous intensity aerobic activity per week, okay? Again, a lot of words there. 150 minutes. So that's 30 minutes, 5 times a week, right? And we want to do aerobic activity. So that's heart and lung pumping activity. So if you're a gardener and you think that's one of the ways you keep active, gardening is great. It's great for balance. It's great for strength training, but it generally is not too aerobic. Okay, so you want to make sure whatever activity you're doing 150 minutes per week is something that gets your heart and lungs pumping. Okay, and even better, you want to get your heart and lungs pumping to a moderate to vigorous pace. Okay, so that's about a 5 to a 7 on a scale from 1 to 10. And with that, everyone is different. Okay, so what looks like moderate to vigorous for me is going to be very different than what it looks like for Tanis and for the other Emily here. We all are going to have different levels of physical activity, and what gets our heart and lungs pumping is going to be very different for each of us. And I have a great example of this. So I had a good friend who got COVID at the beginning of COVID. So she got that really, really bad strain. And prior to COVID, she was teaching fitness classes. She was exercising literally every single day of the week. And when she got COVID, as you can imagine, she was down for the count. Okay, she was not moving. She was just trying to breathe. And once she started to feel better, she started to go walking again to get herself back up to her conditioning. And she had an Apple Watch, and she looked at her Apple Watch and she went, oh my gosh, 160 beats per minute. And that's a vigorous pace, 160 beats per minute. And she said she was walking so slow, she couldn't believe it, that at such a slow pace, her heart was working so hard, okay? So I tell you that story because this is a person who was quite fit prior to becoming sick, and she would have maybe had, at that pace, she would have maybe been at 50 beats per minute, which is like resting heart rate because she was moving so slow. And at that pace, after being sick and being deconditioned, it was 160 beats per minute. So it's going to look very different for every person, okay? So when you're getting started or when you're doing your thing, be sure not to compare yourself to others, okay? What is the right pace for someone else might not be the right pace for you, but as long as you're sort of feeling that breathiness, you could still talk, but you couldn't sing, that's a really good measure to know that you're working at the right pace, okay? So 150 minutes of aerobic heart pumping activity. That is our main goal. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in a second. The second goal is getting 2 days per week of muscle and bone strengthening exercises. Now, if you remember, when I talked about the studies, the group that did the muscular strengthening portion, they didn't see any brain benefit, but you don't want to fall. That's the other side of the second dragon of healthy aging. You want to be independent and strong and be able to get up out of your favorite chair and get up off the toilet without assistance, right? So you really need to get those 2 days per week of muscle and bone strengthening to help you with that other side of that dragon of healthy aging. And then last but not least, their activity to enhance balance and prevent falls. So with this type of exercise, things with coordination, things with agility, things that are going to make you think. A lot of times when we fall, it's because we can't interact with our environment the way we want to. Maybe the phone rings and you quickly want to get up out of your chair and race over to the phone. This is a very common fall scenario. And so we need to be able to have that snappy brain connection, those snappy neural pathways, to activate the stand from the chair, the walk over to the phone, and grabbing it, with all, in a matter of seconds before that phone stops ringing. Okay. All right, so I said I would come back to this. Walking. Walking is the best thing that you can do. So if you're going to start any new habit today, I want you to start walking. And the amazing thing about walking is it requires no special skill or facilities, okay? Now, I know here in Canada, it's starting to get a little cooler. It's beautiful walking weather right now, actually. But in a month or two, maybe a little longer, the weather won't be so beautiful for walking. But you know what? A lot of malls open their doors ahead of opening, and you can walk around the mall. I know where I live, there is a very active mall walking community, and then they all sit down and they have a little bit of coffee or tea or a little snack, a little smoothie once the mall does open. Okay, so if it is getting cold and that's holding you back, or joining in at a local community center, anything like that can really, really help to get people to stay active during the wintertime. Okay? There's very little risk for injury. Walking is a very, very safe, natural movement. It's things that are going to be good on your joints. It's going to be very healthy for your muscles as well. And because it's so easy, it's easy to stick to. It's easy to keep doing it. Whereas if you sign up for a fancy exercise program, which are all amazing, but sometimes they can feel challenging at first. And so that challenge sometimes discourages people from continuing to go and feeling like they have to get through that learning curve or that strengthening curve that they experience at the beginning. And it can be used as a means to commute, right? So instead of driving to the mailbox that might be a block away, maybe we start walking. Instead of driving around to the corner store or driving to pick up your grandkids from school, maybe you start to walk there if it's within a reasonable distance, of course. And really, this activity is nearest to perfect. I don't know if you're familiar with Hippocrates. He is from the Hippocratic Oath that doctors take. So he's been around since BC. And one of his quotes is, "Walking is man's best medicine." Walking is man's best medicine. So we've known this for many millennia, that walking is this perfect, perfect activity. So if you take nothing else from today, walking, that's what I want us to all do a little bit more of. Okay. In a second here, we are going to actually get up and we are going to do some moving, some exercise that is good for our brain as well as good for falls prevention. But before we do that, I'm going to pass it over to Emily Geddes, and she's going to tell you a little bit about the programming at Aspira. I am so thankful for our partnership. We work with the most incredible organizations around the world, and Aspira is one of them. And we are so proud that they have chosen Stronger You as their certification, so that way all of their staff can deliver really high quality exercise programs. So I'm going to pass it over to Emily to tell you a little bit more about Active by Aspira.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing, Emily, and for the kind words. That was fantastic. I am excited to get moving after my few slides. So my name is also Emily, and I'm a regional resident engagement partner with Aspira Retirement Living. Among many other programs and events, the team members I support are also proud providers of Active by Aspira, our in-house fitness program. At Aspira, our active program is dedicated to a specific and meaningful goal, helping residents maintain or even enhance their functional fitness and overall well-being. As we age, the ability to perform daily tasks, stay active, and maintain independence is paramount. The exercise recommendations Emily has brought to us today are aligned with this goal, as they are designed to improve physical and cognitive abilities, which are crucial for our quality of life. Remember that it's not just about exercise, it's about fostering a sense of well-being, promoting social connections, and ensuing a fulfilling life. Next slide, please, Emily. Now let's talk a little bit about the program to give you a better understanding of what you can expect with your Active by Aspira path to wellness. In conjunction with our wonderful Stronger You partnership, we are proud to say our team of resident engagement specialists are certified in an accredited course and are passionate about hosting industry-leading fitness opportunities within our communities. They are not only dynamic and effective, but they have fun doing it too. We believe in a progressive approach to fitness. There is no one-size-fits-all here. Our classes and offerings are designed to cater to everyone, whether you're a beginner or a seasoned fitness enthusiast, to support your individual fitness needs. Active by Aspira covers all aspects of fitness, focusing on 4 key components: cardio endurance, strength training, flexibility, and balance. In addition to our core offerings, we also provide some great specialty classes to cater to specific interests. As Emily mentioned, Canada's physical activity guidelines recommend 150 minutes. We understand that life can get quite busy, so our program's variety makes it possible to tailor your way, making it both flexible to your interests and your schedule. To keep you motivated, we offer exciting monthly fitness challenges, provide intentional spaces for your workout, conduct fitness center orientations for our newcomers, and have tools to help you track your progress. With these features, we aim to create an inclusive, supportive, and motivating fitness community where everyone can thrive on their journey to better health and well-being. Next slide, please. Thank you, Emily. You'll find here a glimpse into some of our class offerings. We understand that individuals have unique preferences and fitness levels. That's why Active by Aspira, with our partnership with Stronger You, strive to offer a wide range of classes to cater to everyone's needs and interests. Like Emily and the team at Stronger You, we encourage you to explore all the different offerings in your community, find the ones that resonate most with you to embark on your journey to a healthier, more vibrant future. And I think that's our cue to get moving.
Very good. Amazing. See, I told you guys, Aspira has just got the most incredible programming, and I just love that you have the opportunity to just be your strongest self when you live in an Aspira community. So amazing. Thank you so much for going through that, Emily. Okay, so we are going to get moving. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here, and instead I'm going to just share a little bit of music. And what we find is that music really helps us exercise at higher intensities and for longer durations. So that's another key. If you're not a big fan of exercise, maybe try doing it to your most favorite tunes or an amazing playlist that really does get you motivated. So I'm going to get us started here. I'm going to flip my camera. So what we'll do is, if you happen to be joining on an iPad or on a phone, what you might need to do is just do a little swipe on your screen until you can see the other Emily here. Okay, so, and actually I'll spotlight this one for everyone just to make it a little easier too. Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna start our music here. I'm gonna back away and let's move and groove, okay? Please don't just watch me move, although I'm sure I'm quite entertaining just to be watched, but I would love for you to get moving for the next 20 minutes or so with us here today. So let's do this, everyone. Let's back away. Okay. Now you can do this seated or standing. You can see I have a chair here, and we're gonna start in the chair, and I'll show you a little bit of both. Ready? We're gonna start with a heel dig. We're gonna go heel and in, heel and in. Great job. Heel and in. So we've been sitting for a little while here, so we're gonna go ahead and warm up our bodies. Beautiful. So a nice, easy heel dig. Now, stay seated in your chair if you want. If you love to do standing exercise, it looks the exact same. And so this is how Aspira is able to give you that individualized approach. They offer seated and standing classes, so it's perfect for you. Now, the next move we're going to go into is a march. Let's march. Nice and easy. Very good. Oh, our music's taking a little break there. Our music's still warming up. Great job. So you can see seated or standing. So once again, feel free to stay standing if you'd like. I'm going to go back down in my chair and continue on with the standing version. Or sorry, the seated version, I should say. Now, let's take a nice deep breath in to warm up our upper body. Good, nice deep breath in. Great, and you can see I took a break with the feet for now, but depending on your activity level, you can keep going with a nice slow march. And all of your resident engagement partners at Aspira will be able to modify this so it's perfect for their group. They'll know over time what the group is ready for. Next move, we're gonna lift our toes and lift our heels. toes lift and heels lift. Toes and heels. Great job. Toes and heels. Now this move is great for falls prevention. We need to lift our toes as we walk. Sometimes the muscles get a little bit weak at the front of our legs. This is a great way to strengthen them so we don't shuffle when we walk. Now next, we're gonna reach our hands front, we're gonna push, and we're gonna squeeze back. And I'll just turn sideways so you can see that. Squeeze back, push front, and squeeze back. Beautiful. Push front and squeeze back. This is excellent for posture, nice and tall. Great job. And having tall posture is key in falls prevention too. The more we lean over, the more likely we are to fall over. Okay, let's do one more, and let's go back to our heel digs. But this time, let's try them a little faster. Ready? Here we go. We go. Heel, heel, heel. Good. And if this is a little too fast for you today, feel free to stick with that slow version that we introduced at the beginning. And once again, the Aspira instructors, they're going to know what's exactly perfect for the group that they're leading. So they might skip the fast part and stay with the slow part. They might skip the slow part and go into the fast part. It's all about what's perfect for you. Now let's go back into that march. March. Now as we march, think about your abdominals, nice and tall posture. You don't have to lift the knees too high. Great job, everyone. Last few marches here. Beautiful. Now we can stay with the slow march as we take a nice deep breath in, or feel free to take a break with the legs and just do the arms. Take a nice deep breath in and out. Excellent. All right, last one here. Okay, now if you're seated in the chair, I want you to scoot all the way front in your chair. So you're at the very edge with really nice tall posture, if it's safe to do so. Now we're gonna take our foot and we're gonna tap it under our chair, back and in, back and in. So now we're warming up our hamstrings, the muscles that run along the back of our legs. Both of our tracks today are warming up all of our muscles and joints, starting to get our heart and lungs pumping. Now you might notice I like to kind of move my hands to the beat. You can feel free to put them on your hips or in your lap, whatever feels best to you. Now our next move, 2 steps out, 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 and in, out, out, in. So here is where we're going to start to marry together that cardiovascular exercise with the brain focus required to do some tricky combos that are coming up here. So this is how we put them together, those 2 studies that I talked about today, the cardiovascular and the brain focus. Now next move here, we're gonna go tap in, out, together, other side, in, out, together, other side, in, out, together, and again, in. Now, same thing, let's see if we can add some arms. We go in, push, together. So coordinating legs and arms, that takes some brain work. I don't know about you, but mine always don't want to go together. I might send those signals, they don't always listen. Great job. Let's bounce our heels here and take a nice deep breath in again. So with this, we are layering on to our reach. We're layering on those heel bounces, great for falls prevention. And again, reaching nice and tall, and out. Beautiful. And once more. Okay, take a break at any point, but take a break with those legs for now for sure. We're gonna roll our elbow back. Good, and the other side. And she said, feels so good. Doesn't it feel so good? Great. Beautiful. Nice big elbow roll. Amazing. Nice easy deep breath. We should be feeling a little bit warmer. Our heart and lungs pumping a little harder. getting all of that good oxygen and nutrients to our body. Let's tap back again. We tap under that chair once more. Now, feel free to stay in the chair. Once again, I'm going to stand up just to show what the standing version would look like. And if you see from the side here, a little tap of the toe back. I'll just stay standing for a little bit here, but the exact same thing, seated in your chair or standing. You want to choose the version that works best for you. Now our next move is those 2 steps out and in. So we step out, in. So this is what it looks like standing. We keep a slight bend in our knees. We move side to side. Great job. Out, in. Now we have the option to go faster. Make it a little bit smaller. And if you're ready for that challenge, then go a little faster. If not, stay with the slow version. And we work up to those challenges. And hold. All right, back to our tap in, out together. We go in, out, together. Feel free to add those arms if you want that challenge. Dual tapping, legs and arms together. Keep it going. Tap, out, together. Very good. Tap in, out, together. Excellent. In, out, together. Last one. We're going to go back to that march and a nice deep breath in. Nice deep breath in. So if you're sitting in the chair, this is where you can bounce those heels like we did before. If we're standing, it's a little tricky to bounce our heels. That might be a bit of a fall risk. So we're doing a march instead. Great job. One more nice deep breath in. And out. All right, wonderful job, everyone. At any point, feel free to grab a little drink of water. We're gonna do 2 more tracks here, if I check my time correctly. Perfect. 2 more tracks here. All right, I'm gonna sit down again for this one. We're gonna do a heel and in, the other heel, and then we're gonna take our knee and we're gonna bring it out to the side and down and back in. Now we're going to try the other leg here. Heel and in. So this is another brain engaging combo. See, I can't even move and talk at the same time. That's how hard my brain is working. Back in. Great job. Let's try that again. We go heel and in and heel and in, and our leg goes out to the side, engaging through our abdominals as we lift out and to the side. And again, we go heel. We have 2 heels, and then a knee lift out to the side. That's our combo here. Now, if you didn't quite get it that round, that's okay. We're gonna bring it back later. But first, let's take a little break here. I wanna see your best wave. Let's wave side to side. And then we're gonna reach our arms up and forward. Again, wave, 2, 3, 4. Reach up and forward. And again. Awesome. Reaching up and forward. Last one. Okay, we're gonna bring back a familiar move here. Our heel digs. Heel digs to the front. Amazing. Heel dig to the front. So we call this a break for the a break for the brain. The tongue twister. Say it 10 times fast. It's an added challenge. Great job, everyone. So heels digging away. And then we're going to go back into that brain challenging move. Those 2 heel digs and the heel out to the side. Let's go. Heel and in. Other side. Heel and in. Take it out to the side, out to the side, and down. So we're working a bit of muscular strength here, as well as our brain with these brain challenges. And in. Front and in. Out to the side. Yes. And back in. Wonderful. Let's do 1 more on each side. We go heel and in. It's also hard to slow our bodies down, right? That change in tempo. out to the side. So we do that in Stronger You. We have changes in tempos where we have to actively slow down our bodies, which is very tough. Other side. All right, last one. Make it the best here. Out to the side and back in. Okay, back to those waves. 4 waves. 4, 3, 2, 1. Reaching up, and that could just be the shoulder height if that's all your shoulders will allow today. Feel free to listen to your body. We never want to force anything. Good. 2 more. Well done. 1 more. Okay, we're gonna finish off with that brain break. There, I said it. Heels to the front. Take a break, but keep that cardiovascular work going. This is a strict cardio sort of combo, just doing a move that's really getting those heart and lungs pumping without sort of that brain aspect to it. Okay, our final one. This one is a crowd favorite. I do this across the country. Everyone loves this one. We're gonna do our mambos. Ready? We're gonna do a mambo to the side. I'll walk you through this. It's steps 1, 2, 3, other side. 1, 2, 3. Other side. 1, 2, 3. Again. Now I'm going to stand up. If you want to stay seated, stay seated. I'll show you what it looks like from a standing position. Same thing as seated, right? Just another layer. Side and together. And same thing. You can keep your hands on your hips if you just want to focus on the legs. Now let's try it double time. Out and together. Now since we're going faster, make it a little smaller with our steps. And as you feel more confident, that's when you can start to make it a little bigger. Good. Now let me see you do a mambo to the front. Slow. Front and together. Other side. Good job. Front and together. Great job. Again, hands can move to the beat or they can be on your hips, whatever feels better. And once again, I'll sit down, show you what it looks like seated. Same thing, right? Front and together. 1 more, and then we're going to speed it up. Ready? Here we go. Front and together. Front and together. Well done. Okay, we've done side, we've done front. We're going to do to the back now. So stepping under your chair. Under your chair if you're seated, just a tiny little step back. Back and together. Other side. If you're standing, just stepping back. Okay, very good. Stay seated if you want. I'll show you what it looks like standing. We get a nice little lean, which is good engagement for our abdominals as we step back. Really good added bonus there. All right, same thing, double time. Here we go, and back. Remember, it's faster, so make it a little smaller. Get those quick movements in. Well done. Okay, we're gonna put it all together now. Slow to the side. Other side. Slow to the front. Good. Other side. And to the back. Beautiful. To the back. All right, now to round out our combo, heel digs. We're gonna bring those trusty heel digs back again. Let's see if we can do that a little faster. Ready? To the side, side, and side. To the front, front, and front. To the back, 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 and heel digs. All right, let's try once more. I'm gonna sit down again with our seated folks. Side and together, side and together. To the front. Well done. To the back and back. Heel digs. Great job. And just stick with those heel digs till the end here. Amazing. Okay, wonderful job, everyone. Let's just slow it down with a nice deep breath in here. Normally, we would go through a whole cool down and stretch. For today, we're going to just take a few moments before we do our final portion together, just to cool down. Nice, easy deep breath in and out. Good. Now, slow heel dig. We go heel and in. Other side. Heel. So very important, after you go for that fast walk or you take that Stronger You cardio class, you want to try to always do a cool down at the end. It lets our heart and breathing rates come back down to our pre-exercise state and just helps us to return that blood back to that lungs to get reoxygenated. Fun fact, our legs are actually not very good at naturally returning the blood back to our lungs to get reoxygenated. So we need to cool down to help them do that. Okay, so very important. A lot of people like to do the hard part and then skip the rest. Great job. One more nice deep breath in here. And out. Good, and we'll do one more. Beautiful. That's not our full traditional cool down and stretch, but it's going to work for our purposes today. And what's so exciting is that if you do decide to take that next step with Aspira and you live in one of their communities, you'll take this exact class at any of their communities across Canada. So very, very exciting. I'm going to pause my music here. I'm going to switch back my cameras and we're going to go into our Q&A here.
Thank you so much, Emily. That was awesome. What a great way to
Amazing.
get going for our morning and our afternoon, depending where you are in the country.
Yes. Okay, so we
So
the moving. I'll bring the slide back up. I forgot this was already there. But if you have any questions for the Aspira team, they have their phone number and email for you to call. If you have any questions or reflections for me, you can feel free to put them in the chat right now, and I'm happy to go through them. But I do just want to say, while you're thinking of your questions, a big thank you for being here with us today. If you have any questions for me, feel free to send me an email at emily@strongeryouSeniorFitness.com. All right, and you can also visit the Stronger You Senior Fitness website.
Excellent. You do have a couple questions. Yep.
Amazing. Let's do it.
So I think you answered the first one, but maybe you just want to recap on it.
Sure.
Does a walk count as an aerobic exercise?
Yes. So walking, like I said, is one of the best aerobic exercises for you to do. Really, the question you want to ask yourself is, do I feel my heart and lungs pumping right now? If I'm not breaking a sweat, well, not everyone sweats. I barely sweat. I will go for a walk with my husband. He's dripping. I'm barely sweating. Every person is different to do with sweating, okay? So sweat is not necessarily a good indicator, but do you feel you're getting a bit breathy, okay? Can you keep a conversation, but you wouldn't be able to sing "O Canada"? That's a really good test to see if you're doing that aerobic exercise.
Awesome. And then somebody asked if, can you email out a list of possible mental exercises? So
I don't really have a list, but I think you're referring to probably the study we were talking about, where the group that did those really intellectually engaging activities. So in the study, what they considered to be intellectually stimulating was things like writing letters, reading books, playing chess, doing crosswords, Sudokus, engaging in conversation with friends actually was on that list. So, hopefully they're maybe not, rehashing the gossip of the neighborhood, but maybe we're talking about, the news or things that really make our brains think. So yeah, these were all the types of things. I didn't really look specifically at the list of things that wasn't brain sort of stimulating, but I do remember things like watching TV. Now, again, some TV is very brain stimulating, but I think it really depends on, do we feel like we're being engaged, or are we just being a passive sort of active in that program?
I know I've downloaded the New York Times app, and every day I do the spelling bee, the Wordle,
Yes.
the mixed up letterboxed one, and I just try to make myself do them because they make my
Yes.
brain hurt. So that tells me it's probably
Yes.
doing something good.
There are so many fun apps. Just go and do a search for brain games even in the store, and I'm sure that keyword will bring up so many fun apps for you.
And a lot of them are free too.
Yes.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, that was the last question.
Okay, very good.
It was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, everyone. I really appreciate it.